Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Brass Monkey X, and welcome to another episode of BenchTop Banter. So, what we're looking at here, guys, is a little project I did for my niece, Amelia. She actually made her communion a few months ago, and I figured instead of just shoving an envelope full of money her way, I'd actually make her something nice, you know? I mean, that's what I do here on this channel. I make things. It's what I've always done. I like working with my hands, so I figured a handcrafted gift was much better than, you know, an envelope full of cash. So, what we're looking at here, I made her this cross that she could hang up over her bed or in her bedroom or whatever. And we brought it to the communion so everybody who was there to, you know, take part in the day with her can go ahead and sign it for her and everything. It's made out of white ash, okay? I bought the planks on Amazon, actually. Because, I mean, I don't have many lumber yards around here that sell hardwoods like that. So I had to order it on Amazon. So it came in strips like 4 inches wide. So in order to get the widths that I need, I had to glue the boards together. That's why the grain doesn't match up here. You can see I had a vertical board and then a horizontal board. Had to glue them together here. So like I said, it was done in 2 pieces. After I glued them together, I had this vertical board here and then a horizontal board for the cross piece. And how I put them together was, what I did was I laid down the horizontal piece first. I put my vertical board on top of it. And I came in and I marked it out on both sides. Flipped it over, marked the back side, okay? So then what I did was, I brought these over to the table saw. Right, and in between the marks, I set my table saw to the depth of about half of the width of the boards here, and every 1/8 of an inch or so, I'd come in and I'd do a pass with the table saw. Okay, so when that was all done, what I did was I chiseled out all the pieces that were left by the table saw, sanded it down, did it on both boards, the vertical and the horizontal, and then they fit together perfectly. Glued them up. They fit together nice. You can see where they were put together here. Okay. Show you on both sides. Yeah, so once they were inlaid together, what I did was I ran them through the thickness planer to smooth everything out a little bit on the front and the back. Then I made myself a template. Okay. I took some paper. I drew out the shape that I wanted the cross to be in, okay? I brought that template over to the wood, which was at that time, everything was still all straight. There wasn't any shape in it. And I traced the shape out onto the boards, okay? After I traced everything out, I brought everything over to the bandsaw, and I got as close as I could, made all the cuts. You know, I didn't want to go too close. I'm not that great with a bandsaw, but yeah, I cut everything out on the bandsaw. Okay, then I busted out the files and the sandpaper, and I sanded it all down by hand and filed it to the shape that I want. After that was done, what I did was, you can see here on the finished side, I routed out the edges with a small roundover bit on my Dremel. Actually, I didn't even use a router. In case you guys didn't know, the Dremel comes with an attachment. You can get the router attachment for it. Okay, so I have that. You put your Dremel right in here, and it turns it into a router. I got these router bits, so I just used the small roundover bit. I got that nice edge all the way around. It actually does a pretty good job, guys. When you're doing a small job like that and you don't need to use a big router, just go ahead and use your Dremel. I love the Dremel. Great tool. One of my favorite tools in the shop. So yeah, after everything was routed out, I sanded it all down to like 400 grit, had it nice and smooth. We brought it to the communion so everybody who was there could go ahead and sign it for, you know, she can remember that day for the rest of her life. Hang this up in her room and, you know, just take pride in that moment in her life, and everyone who was there was shared in that. So they recently gave it back to me so I could actually put a Clearcoat on it, because, you know, they want to preserve it, make it last for a long time. And the issue was everybody had signed it with a Sharpie. Now with a Sharpie, Sharpies are oil based. So you can't just go and put like a polyurethane on here because it's just going to rub off all of the markings. It's the same thing as like, let's say you had a guitar and you had it signed by a famous artist or something at a signing and you wanted to preserve that. You can't polyurethane over it or you're going to end up losing the signature, guys. So the best way to finish it, I got this nice shiny gloss finish on here. I use this stuff right here. Duplicolor's Acrylic Enamel Clear Coat. Now, I didn't spray it on like I would normally spray on a clear coat. Normally, I'd come in here and I'm a savage with it. I get like 6 inches away from the wood and I just back and forth, real thick. That's how I usually put it on. But I was a little worried and I didn't want to ruin the Sharpie. So what I did was, instead of going at it like a savage like I normally do, I held it back at least 12 to 18 inches and I coated it real slow, real smooth, and I just kind of glassed over it. You know, I didn't put it on real thick like I normally would. I just kind of, the first 2 coats, I just kind of hovered over it a little bit and just let it kind of trickle down on top of it. Once I had 2 or 3 coats on there already, then I could come in and get a little heavier with it, get a little thicker, get a little bit closer to it, and coat it like I normally would. And it came out great, guys. There was no bleeding. You know, none of the marker actually rubbed off. It came out fine. And it's nice and shiny and glossy, and it came out real good. Then when I was all done, I just went on the back here. I put this wire on here so they could hang it. You know, nothing too fancy. And that's it. There we go, guys. Real nice communion cross made out of white ash. Something the kid can cherish for a long time to come. So yeah, if you're worried about ever doing a clear coat over a Sharpie marker, or you know, any kind of felt tip marker that's oil based, that's the stuff I recommend, guys. Acrylic enamel clear coat made by Duplicolor. Works great. I've used it twice now on projects like this, and it turned out just fine. So, yeah, there it is, guys. A look at my niece's communion cross that I made for her, all finished. Thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate you guys watching, and we'll catch you next time.